day here in New York City. The kind of day that makes you want to get out of the cold, wet weather. Grace Underground is bringing you a little warmth of enlightenment. Osunyoyin Alake.
Meet me at the crossroads where human meets divine. Oh yes, where spirits gather, and don't be afraid.
Hello, we're here again back at Grace Underground. We're here with another artist, a beautiful woman that I met back in the fall 2010, and we'll let you introduce yourself and tell us what your name means.
My name is Osunyoyin Alake, and actually my Osunyoyin has a whole range of meanings, but Oyin is honey. Yoyin means to melt honey. And Osun is the Yoruba river goddess, first and foremost of motherhood. Everyone thinks of her as a goddess of love, but first and foremost, she's a mother goddess. And she's a goddess of love, beauty, art, music, conception, owner of the number 5, and brass. Brass is very important to her. So my name has a range of meanings. One of them is that now that you have Osun, your life will be sweet like melted honey. It's a name given to someone whose life has been difficult before that point, and she kind of straightens your life out, which has very much happened to me. I almost died 3 times before I was initiated and all of that, so she's very much straightened my life out. And the other part of the name, which is interesting to me, is Osun spouts or speaks in melted honey, which is a great name for me because I have a very sharp tongue. Very temperate, so I have a very sharp tongue.
But you're very soft-spoken, so yeah. I can see where the honey comes in. Yeah.
I can snap, but
Okay.
now that I'm older, and seriously, since I've had Osun, when I came back from being initiated, there were so many people that said to me, what happened to you and what have the aliens done with our friend? Because I was much calmer. I really was. My entire personality went whoosh. Wow. That doesn't mean that I still can't snap, just ask my children. But
well, you have also a very extensive resume. I'll touch on it a little bit, and I'll let you talk about some of your excellent projects that you've been working on. But poetry and photography are 2 dynamic arts that can profoundly engender change. That's one thing that is in your artist statement. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you, to engender change.
First of all, photography engenders change because I've actually been taking pictures since I was 14. So I've been involved in photography, came up old school, the dark room, the whole bit. But once you start, if you're a discerning photographer, once you start photographing things, it actually shifts your perspective.
Okay.
If you allow your subject to inform you, whether it's a person, a scene, a cityscape, whatever it is, a ritual. I kind of specialize in photographing disappearing cultures, in rituals and events that people are involved in older rituals, whether it's on a reservation here, I like to call them concentration camps, or whether it's something taking place in Nigeria or Ghana or even Egypt. It changes your perspective on things. Poetry changes your perspective. Again, once you let your subject inform you, it begins to change your perspective in terms of how you're going to explain things. And it makes you look deeper at things and really bring out what you're seeing in a situation or a person or even your own emotion. It just shifts how you view things.
You also have traveled abroad extensively.
Well, I used to work for an airline, which is why I've traveled extensively. And I actually went to work for an airline because I was a librarian before that, with the idea that I was going to work for them a couple of years, go a few places, and then go back to the Library of Congress where I was. And I just decided I love travel. And it also gave me a chance to do my photography. So I've been to Ghana, Nigeria, Benin, Senegal, Sierra Leone. Well, really in Sierra Leone for only 2 days. When I was there, they had a coup and we had to be sneaked out of Sierra Leone into Ivory Coast. That particular passport had refugee stamped on it.
Oh my goodness.
I've been to Egypt 6 times. I'm going to go back in a week, and I'm going to be lecturing at the American University in Cairo for a graduate comparative religion studies class in the women's studies department. I'm really excited about that. I've been to Korea, Taiwan, Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Mexico. I just been a bunch of places. The Dominican Republic, Haiti. I love Haiti. I went to Haiti before it was deforced and all of that. I was in Haiti in 1994, before the coup, right before the coup, and it was a beautiful experience.
And you're so bold and courageous as a woman to just go to these countries that are like in the middle of a coup, and what is that about?
I didn't know they were having a coup. Right. On my way to Sierra Leone. I was in college with a sister, Berry, and she said, "Oh, come home and visit." And I did. Her father was some big chief, and at that point in time, 1993, he was on the wrong side, so he sneaked us out of the country. And I thought it was a great adventure until, like, years later, I saw this wonderful movie about what was going on in Rwanda. It's called Sometimes in April, and somebody was being sneaked out of the country in the back of a truck in the movie, and I'm sitting here thinking, almost 10 years later, oh my God, that could have been me.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes you're a little foolish, and God protects fools and babies. I was protected.
This is true. You have a special gift, and you told me a little bit about it earlier. And tell us about when you were growing up and how you got into the readings. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, when you look back at your life, you can tell that you were destined for certain things. And at 14, I learned I could divine, but in a very backwards kind of way. My mother took me to this man who was indigenous to have a past life regression. And I was sitting at a table, and he was sitting over the other table. I assumed he was playing cards. But anyway, I walked over to the table, and I'm cutting my story really short. But I walked over to the table, and I looked down at the tarot cards. They were tarot cards. And I looked up at the man he was reading. I said, "Oh, you're giving him a reading like in the James Bond movie. Look at that guy." So I looked down, and I said to the man, "You're supposed to have an operation that you didn't have, and if you don't have it, you're going to have an organ that's going to explode in your body, and you're going to die." So Kurt looks at me and goes, "We never tell anybody they're going to die." And I said, but, and the man said to him, "No, that's okay." He said, "You're correct. I'm supposed to have a gallbladder operation that I've been putting off. My brother-in-law's a doctor, he's supposed to do it for me. And if you hadn't told me in just that way, I probably wouldn't have it done."
And you were 14 at the time.
I was 14 at the time.
Amazing.
But this is the weird thing. Kurt lays out all the cards. He said, "Tell me what they all mean." There were about 8 I didn't know. He told me what they meant. He said, "Go get a deck of cards and practice." And I did. I read all my mother's friends that summer, neighbors, all of that. I forgot the cards, and I left them home. I went back and bought another deck. Actually read the woman in the card store who sold me the deck. And about 5 years later, when I got to Washington, D.C. and Howard University, I walked into this bookstore called Yes Bookstore. It's a metaphysical bookstore. And there were books on the tarot. And I was like, "Oh, they write books on this?" So I'd literally been reading 4 or 5 years before I ever read a book on it.
Interesting.
Yes, I read the tarot, the I Ching. There's another spirit I received in Ghana called NCI. I read an NCI, and I also married the Moon, which is 16 powers, part of the Ifa system of the Euro.
You have been involved with school systems in Miami.
Currently, I'm teaching at the Urban Assembly School of Music and Arts. I'm teaching photography. I have some great students. I have some that came over from last semester. I have them again this semester. Just really, really wonderful students who have stepped up and have really mastered photography and looking at things in a different way. So I'm really happy with that. A few years ago, I worked with Mokata, where we taught the Urban Photo Poets program, where you take pictures and then you write stories about it. Write poems about it. And I did that in a grade school. Wonderful, wonderful students there too. I can't remember her name, but I had one student, and she really didn't like writing too much. And she probably had the best poem in the class.
Wow.
And it was a picture of 2 girls. One was dark and one was light. And it said, "Perhaps they live in the same smile, chocolate and caramel, just like sisters." One of the best poems I've ever heard. And I remembered it from a child. She was 8 years old.
That's amazing. Tell us about what you were doing in Miami. You lived there for a while also.
I lived in Miami for 17 years, and I was basically working for an airline then. But in Miami, since I've traveled so many places, my daughter was in a private school, and they asked me to come and show some photographs of the places that I've been to. So I did. And then public schools started asking me to come and do that. And one of the things that I really liked doing was showing children our history and our culture prior to slavery.
Thank you.
And one of the things that was so disappointing to me was one little boy at the end of my lecture, I said, do you have any questions? We're in middle school. And he said, yeah, when were we going to talk about slavery? And I was like, son, I'm giving you 12,500 years of our history prior to slavery.
It's ingrained.
This is
it's ingrained
who
in
you
our heads.
are prior to slavery. From Egypt to Timbuktu to Ghana, Nigeria, the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires, and you're going to ask me about slavery?
What's interesting is that even the history books that are in schools right now aren't accurate, as you know.
No, they're not.
We encourage parents to teach your children the true history of, I'm reading a book right now that's blowing my mind, which is The Open Veins of Latin America. And just to actually read step by step the history of just the rape of the countries and how actually the planting of sugar canes destroyed the soil so that people couldn't even, grow food to feed themselves. It's just really amazing when you really research for yourself the history of America.
But I think if you don't read any other book about who you are and where we've come from, if you read The African Origin of Civilization, Myth and Reality by Cheikh, Anta, Diop, who has passed away now,
Okay.
if you don't read anything else, you have to read that book.
Okay.
Because it ties together the cultures of Africa all at once. The second book you should read is Star of Deep Beginnings, which is Science and Technology, African Genesis, by Charles Finch.
Okay.
Wonderful book. 2 books. If you don't read anything
Two books to start with. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, how can people get in touch with you? You want people to get in touch with you on Facebook?
Sure, I'm on Facebook. My email is on Facebook. Even my phone number is on Facebook. I have 2 pages. Well, actually, I have 3 because I ran out of room on one
She
page.
maxed out her friends list, you guys. She has over 5,000 friends
Yeah,
on one of her pages, and I'm sure because I remember you sent out that note one time, anyone that doesn't keep in touch with me, I'm deleting, and I was like, no, don't delete me.
Yeah, there are all these protesting people I didn't even know their names and never heard of, and they're
Right.
watching your page. So
Right. So we want to thank you for coming. We also are going to have another extensive interview with her at another time to go more into just kind of give a little, I want to do a little documentary on you. You're very interesting. Yeah, we got to go there with her. So you're gonna see more of her, and later on today you're gonna see this amazing performer show her stuff on stage. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
To African Americans here in the United States, we had a set of people who kept our culture intact, and that was our jazz and blues musicians. And there was a tradition, if you're a jazz or blues musician, of going down to the crossroads at midnight to make your offering to leg bugs. The 2 most popular places were highways 1 and 8 in the Delta, and then not too far away, a little bit further into Mississippi, Clarksdale. So this poem is dedicated to them. Meet me at the crossroads where dreams are stitched together in indigo midnight seams, where Legba appears, partaking of prayers and palm oil, sacrosanct yet surreptitious, to marry soul to gold, turning potential into credential. Meet me at the crossroads where Nancy is not an anachronism. No. He's an analogy to live by, the riddled response to the question, a living, breathing, waking, walking, working wisdom revered in folktale, the ancient answer to life's most puzzling contradictions. Meet me at the crossroads where heaven touches the earth, where thought and manifestation intertwine. Here aptitude and action chant prayers to Eshu, who works miracles to make maybe a reality. Watch talent become prodigy, witness practice and determination carved by inspiration as divinely generated genius becomes a finished product for all to see. Meet me at the crossroads way down deep in the Delta at the junction of Old Dockery Road and Highway 8, where that old blues man, Robert Johnson, cried out to Legba and invoked the glory of his fate. Better yet, meet me in Clarksdale, Mississippi at the intersection of Highways 61 and 49, where the earth unveils its magic, consecrated by intercessions, rum, and intent, its aura radiating the power of ritual made habitual through repetition and time. Don't be surprised who comes there whispering prayers to Legba in the cobalt of midnight, their incantation and supplication enshrined in African aphorisms. Yes, these crossroads, visited by Louis Armstrong, Bessie Smith, Nina Simone, John Lee Hooker, your great beyond great grandparents too, shape-shifting in the shadow, adding ashe to your libation, lauding labor to lift your aspirations to realization. Meet me at the crossroads where human meets divine. Yes, where spirits gather. And don't be afraid. The only demons at midnight are echoes of white hoods gowned in hate, a disembodied apprehension of those who criminally coerced you into giving your back to your ancestral traditions, the wellspring of your strength. See them gripping torches of terror, burning the crossroads symbol of your power as an effigy of their God, a stolen and weak apparition of Osar. There are no deals with the devil made in this sacred space. Only dates with destiny and Olodumari's affirming smile shining as stars in space. Meet me at the crossroads. Ashe?
Ashe.
I'm an Oshun priest, and somehow the Orishas always have to show up in my poems, even my love poems. I always say there's a little culture in my love and a little love in my culture. So this poem is about a brother's voice that I love. I love your voice. It's rich, dark maple syrup straight from the tree, running over rough bark, just pooling into possibilities. Your voice, 5 octaves, morning deep, just out of slumber, heavy with what should have been our night before and the magic that lingers the morning after. Your voice is full of promises kept, dreams realized, and my destiny waiting. It's midnight meditations embraced in intimate intentions, seeking secrets whispered between our eyes and silent lips and a kiss. More touch than a sound, my soul arches to meet its velvet caress. Still, it's the improvisation of jazz, the rhythm in my blues, reds and yellows, a down-home washtub bass vibrating, come and get me, on the hardwood floor of my soul. Your voice is love courting peppered passion, tenderness seducing joy into a tryst with trust, shadow kneeling to light, inspiration defying doubt, hope hugging cynicism into gentle submission. Your voice is all that is man to me, and my men are always God's. It's Legba's tricks, jokes, and lessons commanded by Ashe. It's Ogun's ironclad protection wrapped in silk and stars. It's the sharp crack of Shango's lightning bolt ripping nonsense from the obvious. It's Orumala's sacred libation of tears pouring into Ifa's running river of prayers answered. It just resonates with a divine sound that brought the universe into existence. Your voice is sweet with admiration for all that a woman is and can be to a man. I just have to hear it, and I'm there. It curls my toes. I love your voice. Just a little introduction to this one. I was at a workshop in Atlanta, and Danny Glover was there. And he was talking about how we should include references from other artists in our poems so people don't forget those other artists. So I'd already written part of this poem, but I went back and rewrote it with that in mind. So it's a love poem. I just love the way, though, in our culture, especially spoken word artists do now, we always include some kind of political or artistic reference in our poems. So this is keeping that. And I love Danny Glover, by the way. He's a wonderful poet, too. Some days, it's heart over head, soul over mind, acceptance over denial. Some days, your echoes are long. The soft, sweet, fleeting kiss, the tender caress of your eyes, the intertwining slow dance, hear you, feel you, resonate you everywhere. Everything, everything, everything reminds me of you. A sweet Honey in the Rock song, a Khalil Gibran quote, the Romare Bearden collage, that James Van Der Zee photograph of the newlyweds with the spirit of the child yet to come playing at their feet. Just listening to Miles Davis, A Kind of Blue, or Sketches of Spain, runs a kaleidoscope of you through my mind. Yes, some days your echoes are long. Some days your Shango thunders and lightnings, the tremors calling out my Oshun, her honey, her river, her essence, rushing forth from my soul, overflowing the banks of nameless emotion. Some days I love you like pain is a stranger and joy is my only friend. Like there's no caution in my winds. Like loving you is not a risk, but my right. Some days, I love you like there's no tomorrow and we've always had a yesterday. Your man ignites my woman, turning the ice water in my veins to a boiling honey, waking up a fevered passion, leaving me in a delirium of desire, making my surrender to the magic of you inevitable one day. Some days you chastise me, gently, pruning for growth, and I feel a way about it. I feel a way about being... And I feel a way about it. It's not the chastising. Your cuts are the loving chisel of the sculptor bringing forth the variegated beauty of the marble. I am the willing piece of granite, grateful that the unnecessary hardness is being chipped away and more of the real me stands free. I feel a way about it because I hear the melody of melancholy, another song of disappointment about another woman who didn't live up to the stratosphere you stretch for. Celestial heights you're weak and you're reaching. If I only saw what you see in myself. I feel a way about being another note in a tune gone flat, the tone that sounds a discord and not the harmony. I feel a way about it all until you put your arms around me, wrapping me into your understanding. There, my foolishness and doubts dissolve in the orbit of your embrace. Some days, no, every day, you encourage me. Your quietly simple, do better, is a command that I am to mirror divinity radiantly. Your calm mantra, worry is not your friend, makes my fear lie flat in the face of a destiny fully embraced. And then there are those some days where my heart curls up to heal in the molten warmth of your soul. Its layers and nuances the place of my resurrection. But I can't stay there long. I am reborn, seeing what I've never seen, feeling what I've never experienced, knowing that I must give to you what I've never given before, that we must share with each other what we've never shared before. Still, not understanding all there is between us, I wander your interior landscape looking for answers. The pictures are out of focus, but our mirrors are clear, and that is only some days. Okay, more love. I like writing about love because
Tell them why.
because there's no life without love. Love is like water to your life, and there's no life without water. We have a Yoruba proverb that says there's no life without water. And if you think about it, nothing exists without water. Nothing. I'll just do a piece. Sometimes I be wanting you. A not so strange or random craving in the quiet of night for your something sweet. I'd be wanting to see the warm flame in your eyes, hear the honey and gravel in your voice, feel the pillowed softness of your embrace or the velvet traces of your lips across my skin. I want what I see in you, all the bare-ass naked feelings you keep locked down in chains of masterful control. Just once, show me who you really are. Because I'd be wanting to pick the locks, loose the links, take that long freedom run to who knows where and back again in your arms. So if you're feeling me, I mean really feeling me, let's start our journey smashing our reasons, excuses, and what-ifs up against the wall of intent. Shattering our fears, doubts, and lies we believe to protect ourselves from what? Walk towards each other in just the love we know. Open hearts sharing sacred secrets and whispered kisses that only speak in tongues when our lips meet. You see, I don't want to own your soul, just move it. Don't want to possess your heart, just touch it. Don't want to control you, just connect deeply without boundaries if it feels right, and you do. No problems, no past, no ghosts. Just here, just now, just us, just because. Sometimes I be wanting all of you.
I met Rain like 4 or 5 years ago at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, and it was my birthday, and I'd always want to recite there. Does everybody know what the New Eurekan is? Because if you haven't been there, it's like the mecca of poetry, period. You haven't recited until you recited at the New Eurekan. So I met Rain there, and I did Crossroads, the very first poem that I did. And I didn't even know Rain. I'm walking off the stage, and he hugs me, and I couldn't breathe. He's like, "I love that poem," and I was like, "Okay, but can you let me go?" I didn't say it, but I got it. So then I saw him about a year and a half later at the New Eurekan, and he goes, "Do you live here?" I said, "Well, I do now. I didn't when you first met me." And he said, "Okay, so you have to come to word second to the writer's workshop." So I went to the writer's workshop, and after that, he kidnapped me. He took me to Abi Olduna, the last poet's house, and recited and sang poetry there. I didn't recite then, I was just too scared to recite in front of Abi Olduna. And then he said, "Okay, now we're all going to open mic." I said, "No, I'm going home." He said, "No, you're going to the open mic in Jersey." And I said, "I didn't plan to go." He said, "Just get in the car." So we go.
I remember having it like that.
It happened just like that. I didn't sign the list. So Rain comes up to me, kneels down and goes, "You didn't sign the list, but I put you on it. And by the way, you're going last, so we need you to be really good." I mean, this was... Rain, I forgot. Rain also introduced me to Ngoma, and I'll never forget that night either. We don't remember it the same way, but Rain looks at me and says, "Do you know Ngoma?" I said, "I know who he is." And Ngoma reaches across the table and goes, "I bet you do." So Rain has kind of been pivotal.
Yes, he is.
And then there are those Sundays where my heart curls up to heal in the molten warmth of your soul. Its layers and nuances a place of my resurrection. But I can't stay there long. I am reborn, seeing what I've never seen before, feeling what I've never experienced, knowing from the very beginning that I must give to you what I've never given before, that we must share with each other what we've never shared before. Still, not understanding all there is between us, I wander your interior landscape, looking for answers. The pictures are out of focus, but our mirrors are clear, and that is only Sundays. We're taking prayers and palm oil, sacrosanct yet surreptitious, to marry soul to gold, turning potential into credentials. Meet me at the crossroads where Nancy is not an anachronism. No. He's an analogy to live by, the riddled response to the question, a living, breathing, waking, Davis, A Kind of Blue, or Sketches of Spain, runs a kaleidoscope of you through my mind. Yes, some days your echoes are long.